All right, welcome everybody to a Monday night BU team call. I am Shelley Went, Enrolled Ambassador with Plexus, and I am so excited to have one of my team members sharing with us tonight. Leah has been with me through much of or a good chunk of my journey with Plexus, and we go way back. We're actually second cousins, so we have many fond memories of those Sundays after church when all the grandparents would get together at somebody's house for open-faced sandwiches and coffee. Uh, and it was just kind of like a little mini family reunion on Sundays. So those were some fun days. But you know how life goes, and we hadn't been in touch through much of our adult life. We still in passing, hey, how's it going? But nothing too significant. And so we're just excited that Plexus brought us back together, as it does for so many of us, people that we've met 20 years or so ago, and kind of that foundation and relationship and groundwork was laid many years prior, and God had it all in his perfect plan for us to connect again later on down the road. And so that has been our story together. So Leah is amazing. And I have had just the honor and the privilege of having kind of a front row seat to her journey, her growth journey, her health journey, even spiritual journey, personal journey, right, Leah? All the things. Yes. And it's been amazing to see. She's an inspiration. She puts in the work on herself and into herself, and really desires to follow where the Lord is calling her, and wants to bless others in really big ways. She's an amazing wife and a mama to 4 beautiful kids. And she has a huge gift for just really loving people and wanting to serve. She's a big part of our team. And she's had just an amazing journey so far. So I'm not going to keep talking about you. I'm going to let you talk about yourself now. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to ask you some questions about her story, and she's going to share with all of you. So let's start with you telling us a little bit about where you were at before Plexus, physically, as a mom, personally, where you were at in life, and how you ended up getting started with Plexus.
Yeah, so I'm Leah, if you don't know me. I really started because I was struggling with migraines and a major lack of energy. I really didn't even think or know that I was struggling with more. I had always dealt with anxiety. Sometimes it was worse, sometimes better, but I just thought that it was a normal part of my life. And so I don't really remember a specific thing that made that happen. But as I started having kids, I was recognizing that my anxiety was getting a little bit worse, and I was struggling. I struggled to get out of the house some days just because the what ifs of case scenarios would kind of take over. I struggled to talk about my feelings because that just wasn't how I grew up. We were kind of just told to suck it up, let it go, and didn't really talk through the, good, the big, the small, anything. So in my early 20s, when I married Scott, my husband, at the time, he was going to school to be a youth director and not really feeling a pull to become a senior pastor or go on for more schooling. But we were excited for the future and our first calling to California. California was just a really big part of our journey. It kind of grew us together. Also, our family started to grow, and we just saw big plans for what God had in store for us. And we didn't really understand that. So as we were in California, we just were enjoying kind of the adventure of it and seeing the world. And so I knew from a really young age that God was calling me to some type of ministry life. I just didn't really know what that looked like. So California was just a huge part of it. And during this time, God made it pretty clear that seminary was the next step for us, and furthering Scott's schooling was next, and we set out for Michigan. So our journey continued in Michigan for about 7 years, and being in ministry has been a huge blessing for us. And I just wasn't sure that it was enough for where God wanted me to be. I had done a number of jobs through the years, jobs that I had gone to school for, and jobs that happened because of the skills and gifts God had given me. All those jobs in ministry life as a pastor's wife were gifts, but more than that, they taught me to keep growing. They taught me to keep discovering what God planned for me. At that time, we were really busy. We were overwhelmed with life. We were feeling at a loss of where time was going to go each week. We were struggling with time outside of doctor's appointments, school meetings, all of those things with our daughter. We had just kind of a struggle with her for a little while and not really knowing what her health struggles were. She has epilepsy, and so that was just kind of part of our journey too during that time. And God brought so many people around us during that time too. And we just didn't have extra time for things. We didn't have extra time for, we just didn't have the budget for extra monthly things either, monthly products. So I just didn't think that I could do this. I kind of lived in a fishbowl being a pastor's wife. And I really thought people are going to think the craziest things about me being a pastor's wife, starting something like this, sharing something like this. What are they going to think? I waited a really long time and I kept waiting. I waited until we moved to Iowa, and then I waited some more. By this time, I was exhausted. I had started working overnights at a local nursing home. And so this was our plan and how we were going to afford to live. This was how we paid on debts. This was going to be good for us. But in reality, it was draining me further. My anxiety was getting worse again. And I was saying enough is enough point. I finally commented on a post Shelly shared about migraines and was ready to say yes. I didn't really know what all I was saying yes to, but I knew I needed to feel better. And really, I knew we could use the business, but I was super, super scared to share, thinking that other people's opinions of what I was doing was going to take over and I was just not going to do it. So that mindset had really stuck with me for a long time, even after I had started sharing. I prejudged my own abilities. I prejudged who might be interested. And I was super, super picky on who I was talking to. It took me a really long time to see the value in these team calls, which now I don't miss a time unless I have something really important otherwise to go, because this is a huge priority for me. So, but I also didn't see the value in the book club, and I didn't see the value in doing the personal growth things. But once I did, there was no turning back. And it's been a huge, huge game changer for me in my growth, in my business, in my just personal mindset. And mindset is huge. And through the last 3 years, I gained my energy and better sleep back. I've had less anxiety and hormone imbalance. I've dealt with less bloating and gas. I don't have as many flare-ups with allergies or eczema anymore. I have the occasional migraine, but definitely not what it used to be. So the only thing I started for was to get my energy up and my migraines down. But learning about the gut health and having gut health happen for me, and for more than just those two things, was mind-blowing. And so I had no idea there was healing that I needed. I thought the things I was dealing with were all normal parts of who I was. God had given us ministry to be a blessing in this kingdom here on earth, but I just was blown away how much this community just made such a huge difference for me. I've been used in many ways, but one of my favorite ways is this mission that he's put before me. Being in ministry means that there have been tons of ups and downs, but God has given me a heart to serve, and I'm sure that you guys all feel this way too. Shelly didn't have to keep sharing. She didn't even have to reach out to me, but she did, because God knew that we needed to get to know each other again as adults. And he also knew that I needed healing, and she also needed that healing too. You know, we both have different stories, and it's just been such an amazing blessing. And so he knew that I needed to take better care of myself, and I didn't really that. I had no idea really. I didn't even know what that meant. And so I know that I was stopping myself from trying to heal. I was stopping myself from even looking at it. And but I felt like if I stopped, who would I be serving but myself? He didn't desire for me to have the stirring to say yes, so I could keep this goodness to myself. He desired for me to share that with others so that they could give back to not only themselves, but to their families, to others, to people around the world, to whoever. And if I had stopped and just said, nope, not even going to start sharing, who would have else that stopped, and who would have else that held them back? It held me back for a long time.
Love that, Leah. I love that you said that. Like, God gave you this desire for a reason. I think that so many of us can relate to that. When you put something like this on our hearts, it's not to be ignored as much as we want to sometimes, because it's uncomfortable. It's to be explored, because God has a plan in those areas, and opportunities in those areas, and ways to serve and grow other people, bigger than we even know, right? And I love what you said too. If I'd stopped, who would I be serving but myself? What a way to think about this. On those days where we just get down and we just are frustrated, or we feel like we're stuck, or things aren't moving where we want them to move. If we stop, we're just basically doing it because of our own self, right? We're doing it because we're disheartened. We're doing it because we're uncomfortable, or we're just tired, or we just don't see the moving forward in that moment. But it's not about us, So what a great way to look at this, and to just keep on persevering and realizing that it's about the bigger picture of what God has in place. So were you interested in this business right away?
No, not really. I had been in other network marketing companies before and had done the home parties, done the events, had a few loyal customers here and there, but I spent a heck of a lot more than what I was making each month. And so this really scared me and kind of put a hold up on how I felt, or my mindset on network marketing in general. And so I also knew that we could use the money. And so I started, there was a lot of pushback, but I started sharing about a month in, and I was super scared to put that first post out there, because I wasn't one to post. I really was a stalker on Facebook, if you will. That's terrible. But I just had never really done that before. I had put a post out there for network marketing, and so I just didn't even really know what I was doing. When I was in the other companies, I would invite people to my house or to go to other places for these events, but we didn't have just this easy access training like what we have here. And so I never found time to go to those training events either. And so I just didn't feel like I had that support and encouragement there. And I just wasn't sure how this was different, but I trusted that Shelly and Sal knew what they were talking about. And they kind of gave me some guidelines and just helped me do a little bit of research on it. And just through all of that, I figured out, our comp plan is just the best I've ever seen. The startup fees were pretty inexpensive compared to other ones I had done. And that was just huge, because I hadn't really had success before. So I was just really in my head for a long time, telling myself, no one's going to want to do this. I've done this before. They're not going to want to try it. And it just took a lot of mindset videos, a lot of prayer, a lot of affirmations, a lot of belief from my uplines before I truly believed that this was even possible for myself.
Yeah, I think so many of us have been there to some extent. Like, we hold ourselves back, right? What stops people from doing this business is generally what's between their ears. It's not a lack of a talent or an ability, or like a skill. It's literally what's up in our minds that keeps us from saying we just don't think we can do it. And that's why, like you said, it's important to not give up. It's important to not give up pouring into people, and to remember that even if they don't see that vision right away, or they don't have that belief in themselves or this opportunity right away, that they're not used to being poured into. They're not used to somebody telling them, and actually, that they can do this and believing in them 100%. Most of us, we go through life gets busy, right? And so it's not like we have this little person on our shoulder day after day, unless we are actually really listening to what the Lord is telling us. But this little person day after day pouring into us and saying, hey, you're awesome, you're amazing, you can do it, if only, right? But that's why it's so important to just keep doing that with ourselves and our team members and the people that you really want to do this business with, and you see that value in them, and you see that the way that they could be serving others, and how successful they could be, and how this could bless them. Just keep pouring into them. It's so key. So when did you start sharing, Leah? And well, you kind of answered that. It was about a month in, I think you said, but why did you start sharing?
Yeah. So I want to get my money back guarantee. I'll be honest. And which was kind of crazy because I was having small victories pretty much right away. But we were hurting really, really badly financially. And I knew that if something didn't change, we would continue in kind of this roller coaster of financial burden for forever. And I just wasn't sure I could continue buying the products due to the cost. But Shelly and Sal, again, encouraged me to share with a few people and put up that first post. And so, yeah, like I had said, about a month in, I hopped on the phone with one of my sisters, and one of them joined in pretty quickly. We had kind of just talked about it actually before that because I had been watching Shelly. and so when I hopped on the phone, she was just like, "Oh, sure, yeah, that sounds good." And she's still with me. But yeah, it was after that I put up my post. So it was just kind of a crazy thing. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, your why was basically just to be able to continue on the product so you could keep feeling better, right? It really didn't go beyond that
Mhm.
at that point. So did you have any other bigger dreams in the back of your mind at that point? Were you able to see beyond that or anything bolder or bigger at that point?
Hmm. Yeah, at that point, no. I was just kind of dealing with the things that I was struggling with and trying to get those back to a normal place. And so dreaming big just wasn't even on my radar. I wasn't even thinking about that. I just really needed my health better and I needed to get my products paid for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's another thing that we all have to learn, I feel like, because as we get older and become adults and have real life, that ability to dream beyond our current circumstance is not something that's second nature. And that can be such a heavy door to push
Mhm.
open for some people. It really can. It's kind of like they're almost pushing back, right? And you're wanting to say, but just open up to all the possibilities, right? God has big plans
Yeah.
for you. Don't be afraid to pray those big, bold prayers. And um, it takes that time and consistency and believing in people and just teaching them how to do that again by casting that vision and just reminding them what is possible for sure. So tell
Mhm.
us about your business journey thus far. Has it been easy?
This is a pretty full question. So I started May 12th, 2019. So I just had my Flexiversary, 3 years. So I ranked silver January of 2020. And then I went up in points, down in points, up again, down again, up again until reaching gold in March of 2022. So has it been easy? No, absolutely not. I wasn't really sure what to expect. Like I had said earlier, I had been in network marketing before, but I could tell that this was different. I just wasn't sure if I believed I could do it again. So if I didn't even believe if I was enough to share about these products, I didn't feel like I was enough or worthy enough of really ranking up. And having a rank behind my name freaked me out. And I just didn't even feel like I deserved higher than just a few people on my team. And I just didn't believe in myself and my abilities.
Yeah. So there was some self-sabotaging going on along the way. A lot of us go through that in our journeys too, where there's this underlying current that's going on in our soul and our heart where we don't feel worthy of the success that the Lord desires for us or the growth or the abundance that he desires for us. And so we just kind of self-sabotage before we can even get to those points. So you had a bit of a roller coaster over the past couple years.
Yes.
um, yes, you have, and you have handled it with amazing grace. And this business just consists of so many ups and downs. That is the nature of what we do. But you didn't let that stop you. you persevered, you continued on, you pushed forward, you dug deeper into what you needed to learn about yourself, and what the Lord was calling you to. So tell us about what you needed to overcome.
Yeah, one of the things that I had to overcome was just the obstacle of who I thought I needed to be. So I would say I'm a recovering people pleaser. I don't know if I'm totally recovered yet, so I'm there. But I just really had to move forward from just the past of not feeling like I could ever measure up, and I just had to really dig deeper into kind of who I was as Leah and just personal growth in general. And so I have just been a firm believer that God just has a plan in every single thing, and His timing is just always perfect. But I just didn't believe that God had big plans in this business for me. And so I didn't believe in myself. Digging deeper into personal growth meant that I started recognizing hurts from my growing up years that I just never dealt with, never moved forward from. Those just really, really held me back. They kind of trapped me in a mind of self-doubt for a really extremely long time. It wasn't really until I started watching, listening, reading more personal growth and started sharing my story, not just the health victories, but the vulnerable parts with others, specifically Shelly, that I started growing and just really digging deeper into who I was. And just, we say a lot of times that mindset is huge, but it is. It's huge. And there are so many great videos, podcasts, books, of course, reading your Bible that you can really dig into. But it's just really in how you focus your day. And I just really needed to focus my day a lot on, who God says I was and not who I thought I needed to be.
I love that. Yes, who God says you are. It's so, so good. We all have our mindset trash that has stemmed from experience or experiences in our past. It shaped us this far, and many times it's kept us feeling stuck. And the good news is it can be changed. It's not permanent, and that we can actually do something to get out of that unhealthy mindset, that unhealthy way of thinking. And you continued pouring into yourself in a variety of ways and uncovering things that had been holding you back. I remember some of those coaching calls, Leah. Oh, so good. You were just very raw and willing to get to the bottom of, where is this coming from? And you really thought hard about some of these things and uncovered a lot of things. It was so, so good. So how did this struggle with belief affect your activity? How did it affect how you did your IPA or your mindset while you were working? Were you always consistent? Were you always excited to work your business? Tell us a little bit about that.
Of course, crazy timing, right?
Okay.
Okay. So my business was suffering for sure. I wasn't being consistent. I wasn't getting into a habit of doing the amount of work that I wanted to do. I was doing minimal amount every other day, not even every day. And getting frustrated when those messages back were no or not interested, and feeling like, oh, maybe this wasn't for me after all. I wasn't really seeing or feeling the vision God had planned for me. I wasn't digging deeper into what truly was holding me back. I would just see a month come and go over and over with nothing but a lot of no's or silence and wonder what was going on. I wondered until I started praying affirmations every day. I wondered until I started doing these team calls every Monday. I wondered until I started watching the videos, listening to the podcast. And I didn't really ever deal with my fears as a child. I kind of stuffed them away. I didn't really talk about them. I just moved on quickly. And so for a long, long time, I held people at arm's length, because if I got too close, they'd know I wasn't confident. They'd hear my anxiety through my stutter that I used to have, and the list goes on, right? So when personal growth and mindset it is just a huge part of this, I was super scared. I was scared to dig deeper. And I was scared that digging deeper would bring out everything. And I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to talking about it. And Scott's a talker. So even when him and I started dating, and I am too, but just in different ways. I never talked about myself. And so when we started dating our first day, he talked my ear off and asked me like a million questions, it seemed, and I had no idea what to do. At the time, I was just like, I don't even know how to explain who I am or anything about me. But thankfully, over the years, I've learned to talk about myself, especially to him and a few close friends. But putting it out there for everyone to see and hear and read about was super, super scary for a long time for me. And I just didn't even want to dig deeper into that. But I did. And here's just kind of a little bit of what it taught me. It's okay to have fears, but living in them doesn't really get you anywhere. Growing deeper in personal growth and mindset makes a world of a difference in how you approach and feel about your reach outs. It really does. I wasn't always excited about my business, but a huge part of that was I had no idea who I was other than mom, pastor's wife, cosmetologist, turned Kids Hope director, turned CNA, turned secretary at church, turned before and after school care. Like I said, when I had done a number of odd jobs and a number of jobs that I had gone to school for. But when I started digging deeper and growing, I started realizing that God had placed me here for a reason. I am all those things, but it's okay to be Leah too.
And look at you now, sharing on a team call in front of how many people, girl? I love it. I love this so much. You just kept diving into the areas of your heart and mind that you knew were struggling and that were holding you back. And it wasn't until you really put in that time of growth that you started to make those breakthroughs that you were needing, personally and professionally. And many times you wonder why our business growth isn't moving faster, even when we feel we are doing all the right things, right? And most times it's just us. It's just working on the stuff that we got, and we've all got our stuff. And so it just takes time sometimes, time and consistency. So, I love your vulnerability. So, okay, where did you need to grow, or what do you think was holding you back?
Definitely mindset and belief. Those were just two really huge things. I was just constantly for a long, long time telling myself lies, that I wasn't good enough for the next thing, the bigger things, the maybe scary thing, something to change. I was just, telling myself all of that. I told myself I wasn't worthy of the higher ranks because I didn't have the degrees. I started not knowing a single thing about gut health and how it affected so much. And I carried that and told myself that people wouldn't want to learn from me for a long time because of it. So I didn't think I deserved the money that went with the ranks. I only wanted to help people. And I wasn't sure I could really do that and make money at the same time. At first, I didn't even believe that this business was something I could do and thought only special people ranked up. So many lies that I just was telling myself over and over and over. I needed to turn those around and turn them into affirmations, and that I needed to tell myself instead. I didn't really know about gut health, but I'm willing to learn, and I was willing to learn then. And money isn't why I do this, but with money to help and support others around the world. So if they can do it, so can I. Those were just some of the affirmations that I kind of just flipped the switch on because I was just telling myself terrible things. So I needed to switch those somehow.
Yes, preach, girl. Taking us to Plexus Church, Leah. But that's the beauty of this, though. I mean, we all have, examples of, there's all different personalities, there's all different backgrounds, different education, employment history, all different types of people that are building successful businesses here. The whole gamut. You can find at least one person that's very similar to you. Any one of us can. And truly, anybody can do this. There's nothing that really stops us but ourselves, like we said. So what really helped you break through these lies and grow personally?
Yeah, just a lot of belief building videos, borrowing belief from Shelly and Sal, because they had amazing belief in me that I didn't have, and watching a money mindset video by Jessica Heffley. And if you haven't watched that, that is really amazing. And it was amazing for me. And just digging deeper into my prayer time and just being more intentional with my affirmations.
Yes. And you were consistent about that. You're so good about that. We talked about that a lot. Okay, so can you share what podcasts or books were the most helpful for your growth or the most impactful?
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys know John Maxwell. I'm sure you do, but Failing Forward is an amazing book. And if you have not read that, go get it right now, because it's amazing. And that was a huge one for me. Also, The Magic of Thinking Big, Get Out of Your Head is another good one. Atomic Habits, reading it again. That's why I have all these bookmarks. But also, I just really like different podcasts. I listen to podcasts all the time too. And Seek First CEO is one of my very favorite ones. The Craig Groeschel Leadership Podcast, Purposeful Social Selling, which is also Authentic Influencer. And those are just a few of them. I listen to a lot of different ones and have read so many other books, but those are just kind of my top ones that I would say. And yeah, we can put those in the notes after the call too.
Yeah, that'd be good. Some people want to kind of know some of those. So that's a great idea. Popping those in the comments. Okay, so
Yeah.
Throughout your journey, have you ever wanted to quit?
Yes, I'll be honest, I did at first, but then God stepped in. And in John 15:15 through 16, I'm not going to read it to you, but go check it out. But I was just reminded that God chose me and appointed me to go and bear fruit. So how was I to do that if I quit? God had given me gifts to serve and grow his kingdom. This was a beautiful avenue to do just that. I didn't see that at first, but God opened my eyes to that. And building these relationships here is such a beautiful thing. And knowing the friends, old and new, that I was connecting and kind of reconnecting with, that were going to grow on this journey too and get their health to a better place, has just been my absolute favorite part. I love this culture here. And so not only in health, but in ministry and building each other up in support and encouragement, this has been an amazing avenue for so much ministry to happen. And so I just really was encouraged, and I want to encourage you too by a quote from John Maxwell. And just, I really felt like he said it best. The more you do, the more you fail. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you get. I didn't always believe that to be true, but it was a good push for me to keep learning, failing, and growing.
Yes. Love that quote. So good. So what made you stick with this opportunity? Do you have any regrets and anything that you would do different?
God, again, he's a huge part of my journey. And anytime I thought, what the heck am I doing here? He kind of stepped in, made it pretty clear that this gift was something that he had shared with me when I wasn't thinking I needed something extra. And it's a gift that I can continue and need to share with everyone else that I know, people I don't know. He didn't ask any of us to walk this journey alone. So through so much prayer over the years, it reminded me over and over again that I was meant to help people. And this is an opportunity to do just that. I would say you asked about it too, sorry. Following along here. My main regrets would be not sharing consistently sooner. I wasn't consistent for a while, and just not digging into those videos and book clubs, and those team calls and book clubs have just been a game changer in my business and in my growth. And just not making time to commit to digging into personal growth was a huge regret for me, and not believing that I could do it sooner.
Yeah. But it all happened for a reason.
Yes.
And it's all part of your girl's story and your journey. And it's all part of the molding process, right? He's making diamonds out of all y'all.
Yes.
It's the refining process. But it's why everybody's story looks different. You know, God has a different plan for everyone. So everybody's journey is going to look a little bit different and unique. And that's the beauty of it too. So how far are you going in this business, Leah?
So yeah, when I first started, I honestly thought that gold sounded amazing because I had never ranked before. So I was just like, hey, gold, that's the third rank in the company. That's amazing. But as I've been on this journey, and of course I had limiting beliefs of what I could really do, but being on this journey and seeing Ruby, I was like, well, wow, that would be incredible too. But now, after a lot of prayer, a lot of growth, and a few years, God has laid it on my heart that He has diamond plans for me and my team. And I'm going, I just have to keep saying it out loud to myself.
I love it, girl. Go get it. Yes, He does. He's got plans for you. Look at how far you've come. Like, you have conquered so many fears and grown so much. Your belief has grown. Your prayers have gotten bolder. It's just beautiful. And you have told me time and time again how important it is for you to add value to people. And for such a time as this, friend, like, look at you. You are adding so much value to the people here tonight. I'm not going to get emotional. It is so inspiring. It is. Even just by sharing your story here tonight, you are helping so many people and inspiring them. And it's out of your comfort zone. It's a little scary, but you're doing it. And it was meant to help others in their journeys as well. And this is just the beginning. So before we end, what are 3 key lessons you've learned that you would like to share that have impacted you most so far?
Yeah. 1, stop playing small just because someone put you down at one point in your life. The opinions of others aren't why you were called to this in the first place. You were called because God believes you can do this, even on the days when no one else does. 2, your life and this business are determined by the choices you make and the determination to make it happen. 3, your mind is an extremely powerful thing. Feed it spiritually and intentionally every single day.
Amen.
These are definitely affirmations I tell myself.
So good. I love these, Leah. So good. And thanks again for being so vulnerable and sharing with us your heart tonight and just being raw with us. You're amazing. I'm so proud of you. And this is the first of many team calls that you're going to be leading in the future. But no, I know we went long tonight, guys. So thanks for hanging with us. But glad you were all here to hear Leah's story. So have a good night, and we'll talk to you all later, okay?